Hey YouTube, this is Nia Tate, and this is my review for Heart and Hustle Houston, Season 2, Episode 4. So we start back where we left off last week with the ladies in counseling, and ding, 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 thank the Lord, we have a breakthrough. Labrina breaks through, and she describes, how she's really feeling. And then she says in the confessional that she kind of hears a voice that says, to be treat people the way you want to be treated. So she goes on and explains, why she was feeling. She tries to explain the "on my levels" statement, and she says that she did not mean it as a dig, and she said she was just saying how she thought before she even met the ladies that she was hoping that they were all on her level. And she said that she was talking about mentally and spiritually and just no drama. And once she said that and the way that she said it, because you could tell that she had broke that wall down. It wasn't the attitude, it wasn't the mean girl. It was just her being real. And I then I got what she meant. I did, and I think she was actually absolutely being genuine at that point. I think that that's true, and I get that when you've been through so much with certain friends and certain people in your life, and then you meet new people, especially at a certain age, it's because you pretty much kind of have your friend group set up. People come in and out of your life, due to different life cycles. Sometimes your friend group changes because of divorces or just life in general. So when you meet new people, you're at the point where, look, I don't need people in my life, but I would like to have, you know, people in my life, and the people that are coming to my life are definitely a choice. So I hope that I get what she was saying. I hope that these people are not, especially when you don't know them, and especially if you've heard things about them. See, that's the thing, So I really get what she was saying. And then um, she also talked to Latrice, what's her name? Latrice. She talked to her about her dad. Her losing her father. And she said that, that is, as we all know, that's a horrible thing. That's a horrible, horrible thing. And she said that she wished she would have been more, compassionate and given her more grace when she was going through that because, she knows that it was a very difficult time for her. So it definitely was a breakthrough. And I'm so happy that, that happened. Um, and I definitely see Labrina in a different light, and I like it. I like it, So I'm glad that she was able to, you know, see that part of her herself and her perspective from other people. And like she said, she owes that to her grandmother, but she said her grandmother was kind of the same way. She had that she was very loving, but she also had that tough exterior. So she had kind of had that nice nastiness. She said that Sabrina said she said, she kind of had that nice nastiness to her. So yeah, and that is, she said she's still trying to maneuver around that. But I'm so happy that because, like I said last review, listen, we going in circles. What are we gonna do? Either you're gonna be on the show or you're not. So I appreciated that session because it did show that if people want to be open minded, that you know they can break through. You just have to kind of keep working at it. So for now, things are all good with the ladies. We will see. Hopefully that lasts. But we had a little something something towards the end of the episode. So hey, you know, we'll see. So and next up we see um uh Alana and she's at home. Her mom is there with her, and she's talking about her marriage, ending, and she said that they had invited her to this. The ladies had invited her to the session, but at this point in time, she has so much going on with her kids and her divorce that she opted out of going, and that's understandable. She said that her ex-husband and her husband, they're going through a divorce. She said that they don't speak unless it's regarding their children. And even at that point, her legal counsel is involved. So I'm like, dang, that's a lot. But she looks really good. She said her children are of course, her main um, focus right now. So, again, this week she didn't film with the ladies. Now I have to go do my own research, but I did see something briefly online that said she was going to leave the show. So I don't know. I'm gonna check on that. But yeah, I mean, I, that may be her option right now. It's just timing. Because if she's not going to be able to film with the other girls, it's kind of not fair for her to be on the show. And then we kind of brought another somebody in this week, so I don't know if that's kind of testing the grounds to bring somebody in, but we'll see. So next we met up with Ro and Labrina. Now they met up for lunch. It seems that they had bonded last season, and with everything that's been going on, they hadn't been talking to each other. Rose said it really wasn't on her because she said she didn't take the on my level comment any type of way. It didn't, she said it didn't really, she wasn't upset with her or anything. But I think Labrina thought that she was because she and Roy and Tori are really good friends. So they actually had a nice lunch, and Labrina was complimenting her on how good she looked and everything. And it was refreshing, like I said. I like this Labrina. I really do. I know I talked about her bad and I gave her a hard time, but that's what she was giving. I can only report on what she was giving. But the way she was this episode, I really appreciated it. And I think maybe this is the real her. I think she was hurt. I think she was really hurt, and hurt people. So maybe that's what it was given. So it was refreshing to see. She said, Labrina said she really liked Ro, once they met. She said because she felt like that she's real genuine. And you could see that, Ro is fun, and so, yeah. So Ro was telling her that she hadn't had anybody to test drive her new look yet, and she was saying, "I don't hear, I don't hear." So that was a cute scene. We also see Ro at home with her mom and her sister and her daughter, and her daughter is a teenager, and so she was, discussing, what it's like to have a teenager, and that she had her daughter at a really young age, and so she just wants to, make sure that, she's patient with her daughter and lets her, express herself. But it's also kind of nerve, makes her nervous because she is a teenager, and she said the little girl told she had a boyfriend, and, so it's like, you know how it is with your kids. You just want to make sure they don't make mistakes, and to guide them and lead them in the good way. So that was also a very cute scene. We also have Chloe. Chloe, that's her name. Yeah, Chloe. Chloe goes over to see Jordan's mom, and yeah, the mom, and that's why I was like, she was talking about, well, she's like the mother I never had. I'm like, girl, you mean the big sister, right? Because once we see them together, it's like, yeah, you need the big sister. You don't need that lady with you. Okay. So she goes over to her house, and I get why, some people you just meet and you click with. And Jordan's mom has boys. She don't have a daughter. So she said it's just cool, for her to, have some. She always wanted a daughter, and so she said, that's why, Jordan is always saying, Chloe said, Jordan says that I tell you everything about the relationship. She said, well, he he just don't understand that, we don't even be talking about your relationship. We just be talking about everyday things. I've never had a daughter, and I've always wanted one, and I look at you, like as a friend and a daughter. And so we just, enjoy talking, and we talk about everyday things. So she also was saying how much she liked Chloe, and she thought, that Chloe had made such a great influence on her son's life. And she even shared that she would hope for them to get married. And Chloe was like, "What, really?" And she said, "Yeah, I don't feel like he could meet anyone better than you." And Chloe was like, "Yeah, you're right." And she said, "There you go." So they have like a cute rapport. But Chloe was saying that, of course, they have um, they have a lot of work to do. And she said it's not just the age; it's just she thinks, it, some of his mindset, maybe needs to be worked on. It's really maturity, is what I could say, So she said that Chloe said they would have to go to counseling, and all of that. So the mom was saying, well, Chloe said, well, if she was helping her decorate the tree. So she said, well, if he gets another girlfriend and they come over here, and it's going to be kind of awkward, because then you'll say that, oh, his ex-girlfriend helped decorate your Christmas tree. And the mom was like, hey, he ain't bringing nobody else over here. I don't, he not going to bring nobody else. Like, come on now, that's not fair. I guess she like her, but see, that's the thing, the parents can love you to death, but it has to work out between them two. So we later see a scene with Chloe and Jordan and the kids. They go have ice cream, and that was a cute scene. And he's a nice looking young man. I'm not gonna lie, he cute. Um, she said they had spoken. Now this wasn't on camera where they spoke, but she said they had spoken since the picnic, and they had discussed it, and he kind of understands now where she's coming from. And she said, I'm not talking about to your mom about our relationship, but I still think she needs to be careful with that, because I mean, if you're friends with somebody, even if you have a good girlfriend, they can tell when your vibe or your mood is off, right? So the mom will know if something is not right between them. So it's just a fine line that she's going to have to kind of maneuver. And so, he said that he would be open to, going to counseling and working on a relationship. And so we'll see where that goes. Next up, we see the ladies. They are having uh, like a fundraiser. And so it's been the first time since the ladies have been together since the counseling session. So we see Tori, we see Ro, Labrina, Chloe, and what's it, Manera? Was Manera there? I think Manera was there. And then there's another lady. I think her name was Angela. Don't quote me, but I think she's friends with She friends with Manera. She friends with somebody. She was there. So they kind of introduced her to the friend group. And to me, I see on the preview next week that she's going to be there. It seems to me that they're trying to maybe slowly introduce her in, and that would make sense if Alana is leaving. So um, it's a nice fundraising event. Everybody's getting along. Labrina's being very, nice, cordial and everything. And it it turns out that it's a bigger event than maybe they thought it was going to be, because it's a bit crowded. And here go Chloe. Chloe is like, this event is not well organized, and it's Labrina's event. She's like, this is, but she was in the confession, said this event is not well organized. It's like, you know, we needed a bigger space. People are everywhere in the corner. They're not getting served. There's not enough food. Like, what's going on? So she kind of started to say things at the table like, oh, why, the people over there are not getting served. Uh, they're running out of food. And so Ro was looking at her like, come on now. We just got back together all in good graces. Don't, if you're going to say that, say it after or pull her aside, don't say it here. So, and Chloe had on a long wig. No ma'am. You look your signature look is short hair. You look good with short hair. I didn't really care for that wig. At first, I was like, mm-mm. That wig ages her. It really did. Don't do that no more, Chloe. You fierce and you a bad as whatever with that short hair, but no ma'am. So that was it. That was the episode. I give the episode, I'm gonna give it an A because I feel like it was a really good episode where the ladies were getting along. We had some progress, and we're gonna see that this may be a bit short-lived because there will be some drama next week. Thank you so much for listening to my review. I appreciate it, and I will talk to you guys next week. I'm out.